Quadratic equations are equations with an x squared. If you have y's, it would be a y squared. If you have w's, it would be a w squared. But you need to have a squared term in there. These equations can have two solutions. So an example is x squared plus 8x plus 15 is equal to 0. And we've solved equations like this before, and we used factoring. So in this chapter, we're actually looking at three other methods to do this. We have the square root property, completing the square, and the quadratic formula. So our goal is really the same. It's just three different methods to do this, four different methods total. So the first one is the square root property. If you have a square term, you can eliminate the square by taking the square root. And you need to take it of both sides. Now when taking the square root of both sides of an equation, we have to put a plus minus to account for both solutions. So an example would be if you have x squared is equal to 9, both 3 and negative 3 make this equation true. So if you plugged in both of these, they would both work because 3 times 3 is 9, and negative 3 times negative 3, those negatives go away, and it's also 9. So when we take the square root of both sides, we have to put plus or minus square root of 9, which turns into plus or minus 3. And the plus or minus is just a shorthand notation for saying 3, you don't need to put the plus because it's implied, and negative 3. So it's just a notation for two different solutions. This means a positive 3 and a negative 3. It's just a shorthand notation. So they want us to solve each equation by the square root property, and then if possible simplify radicals and rationalize denominators. So I need to get the square term isolated. So isolate the square term, meaning I need to divide both sides by 8. So this would be x squared is equal to 5. So now that the square term, or the x squared, is isolated, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. And that will eliminate the square, so you'll just have x. And this is equal to plus or minus the square root of 5. Square root of 5 cannot be simplified, so this is our answer. Or if you want to actually write it out, it would be x is equal to the square root of 5, and x is equal to negative square root of 5. So it's two different answers there.